All right. So our first review of the day is going to be for the film Warfare. Warfare is a movie directed by Alex Garland. It's co-directed also with him and Ray Mendoza. Alex Garland, you know him from such movies as he just recently did Civil War, which came out last year. He did Ex Machina. He did Annihilation. Ray Mendoza, he's a war veteran there, and he's kind of using his expertise there to help tell this story. And this story is based on a platoon of Navy SEALs there that are on a mission in Iraq here, and it's basically just how they're going to get the fuck out of this dangerous situation while they're in Iraq, with they're facing this onslaught of attack from people there, and that's basically all the setup. That's basically is kind of what you have here. I mean, once the first grenade hits, it's just kind of go, 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 go from there. Them, fighting off these enemies, them shooting, them trying to evacuate injured, their fellow injured service members there. Pretty much that's kind of what you just have there. You don't really get a lot of depth here. There isn't a whole lot of character moments here and that there. Just it because it's just such a fast paced type of thing. And this is a short film. It's only an hour and 30 some minutes here. And with this cast, you have pretty much the who's who of basically all the young up and coming male actors today. You got Will Poulter. People might know he was Adam Warlock in Guardians of the Galaxy. You have Joseph Quinn, who's going to be Johnny Storm in the Fantastic Four film. You have Cosmo Jarvis, who was in Shogun. You have Charles Melton as well there. So I mean, a lot of the, and you also have like Michael Gandolfini who's in this, who's the son of James Gandolfini, who people might know he's in Daredevil Born Again right now. Yeah, you kind of have a lot of this kind of star cast here, but it's just this incredibly stressful situation of all these soldiers trying to get out of this situation, and if they are going to make it out alive. You see that, and this is based on, like I said, real life experience from somebody, and it's told through memories, as they say. Of this. So it's all based on the memories of the people who were actually there at that during this when this happened. So, Chris, what are your thoughts on Warfare?
Warfare. I like this a lot. It's a movie that is, I think it's going to be a bit of a challenge to talk about because it is so simple. Like, there's no huge twist or turns or anything like that, or like big like plot developments or character revelations or anything like that. It really is like basically just a real time look at a bunch of soldiers going on a mission and the chaos that ensues when that mission goes wrong, and how they try to get out of there, how they try to like shoot at at their targets, and how they try to get away, and the damage that they take throughout the course of this mission. And it's a movie that very much reminds me of Dunkirk, where people are probably going to complain, and I think they already have started complaining about there being a lack of character development or like really deep story or anything like that. And I would counter, not necessarily counter, but I would argue that, yeah, that's really not the point of the movie. The point of the movie is to put you in the shoes of these guys as much as the movie possibly can, and just let you experience the shit that they go through and what war is truly like. Like, it's very much like almost a first person sort of documentary esque portrayal of warfare that doesn't try to gloss it up or glamorize it at all. It's very like upfront about how like miserable and fucked up this situation that they're in is, and how it affects not just them but the people in this town, because they show the town at the beginning, and it's a very quiet, normal seeming town, and then once the battle starts it just gets obliterated so much, and you can't help but feel for the other citizens who are not involved with the battle at all. They're just also trying to survive, even though it doesn't really focus on them all that much, if at all. You still get that sense watching it of like, wow, this is not good for anybody. And it does a really good job at making you angry all over again about the Iraq war, where the whole time you're watching all this bloodshed, all this carnage, all this destruction. You're just sitting there like, yeah, they did all of this, and for what purpose? Like, why did this happen in the first place? And the actors all do a great job. They're convincing as soldiers, even though there's not a lot of like dialogue where they really go in depth about their relationships to each other, they do manage to give off a strong enough sense of camaraderie to where you are with them throughout the course of the movie and you buy them as these guys who can handle themselves in the heat of battle. And when shit starts to go down and they get like very brutally injured or wounded, or they're trying to survive this assault of gunfire and missile attacks, you feel the fear in their voices and in their eyes as all of that shit is happening. So yeah, it's very much an experiential movie, and I think it does a really good job of making the audience experience as much as they possibly can without actually like taking them and putting them in the midst of a war zone, like what it's actually like to go through one of those things. Like I've heard from a lot of people who are also soldiers like at that time or in other wars being like, yeah, this is like one of, if not the closest, most accurate representations of what it was like in those situations.
Um, and I didn't see this movie. Did you see it in IMAX?
No, I did not.
Okay. Because if you see it in IMAX, I think maybe that'd be a bigger treat for people. I did not, but this movie is loud. It is very, very loud. When it,
Yes.
there's moments like when the gunfire happens, like you're actually, it feels like you're actually really there. Next to the actual gun. There's the show of force moments where like a plane comes and then sweeps through the area, like, that's incredibly, loud, so if you're in actually IMAX or you're having one of those 4D type of experiences, if you can have that with this movie, that will probably enhance your experience with it, because 'cause you'll probably, I spoke to one guy who did actually see it in IMAX, he was like, the whole theater was shaking, when that actually happened, so that may enhance your ability there with it, um, and, this being directed by Alex Garland, who did you see the movie? You probably saw the movie Civil War, right?
Yes, I did.
And, you're what's it seems like kinda with Civil War, because story-wise, I didn't really like this movie all that much, but I did praise a lot of the technical aspects of it, the action sequences of it, the way it was shot, and it seems like a lot of that carried over into Warfare, what Alex Garland did with Civil War. What's kinda your opinion there?
Yeah, I agree, and I think a large part of that is because Ray Mendoza was the military consultant on Civil War, and so it makes sense that a lot of like what Garland learned from him making Civil War, the two of them brought over to this new movie here, and yeah, Civil War is much more sort of it's a much more plot heavy movie than Warfare is, and I know a lot of people like sort of complained about it doesn't go in depth enough with the crazy concept that it sets up for itself. I don't think that was quite the point. I think it was more sort of like trying to almost going for like sort of a come and see vibe in terms of like come and see Hurt Locker-ish vibe where it's like following these characters through this hellscape and actually seeing them change and grow over the course of the movie, even when they're not directly involved with the battles that's going on. Whereas with Warfare, it's like it's all battle all the time, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because again, the point is to show like this is not fun what these soldiers are doing. Like they are actively they are fighting for their lives in this situation and everything around them is getting destroyed, they are getting hurt or killed, and it is not pretty in the slightest.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's simple movie. There's not a lot of character, kind of like I said, revelations or moments like that in this. There's not going to be see a scene where a character pulls out a photo and it's like, oh, I got to get back to her. Oh, Betsy, you know what I mean? There's not going to be anything like that kind of going on in this. It's just about this incredibly tense moment and them trying to make it out alive. And it is brutal, and you do kind of see it, and it shows that they especially when some of them get injured, and they have to have somebody come and pick them up and trying to make it out. So you do have that. So that all is played very such on a visceral level. And the performance there from some of them is really good. I mean, that acting there was really, really well done there. So that's kinda it with it. I mean, on a technical level, I mean, again, it's kind of much what I loved about Civil War, which is like, hey, the sound, the action sequences, the, actual, capturing what it's like to be in a battlefield and having that kind of lens at that, does a really great job at that. If you want something deeper, if you want something more in terms of that of political commentary on the Iraq War or you know what I mean? These really, riveting characters or character development, you're not gonna get that, from this in it. And then the conversations coming with this movie about is it military propaganda? What's kind of your opinion on that?
Um, Yeah, I don't think it's propaganda at all because it's not trying to glamorize this situation that they're in. It approaches it from a very objective, like not particularly like rah 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 sort of type angle to it. It's a very agnostic approach, which I know I can't remember who made the argument, but somebody made an argument that like any war movie is inherently pro war or pro military or whatnot. And to that, I would counter with movies like Come and See or Stanley Kubrick's The Killing, which I just got around to watching for the first time recently. Or was it The Killing? Or no, it was Passive Glory. Passive Glory is what I'm thinking about, where you watch those movies and at no point does it feel like the filmmakers are trying to go like, man, war seems sure seems like fun. It's like no, nothing about what you're seeing in these clips that we're showing is fun at all, or makes you go like, man, joining the military would be really really cool. It's like, yeah, no, there's a certain point where like the most heroic thing you can do in the situation that they're currently in is just survive. Again, it's sort of like that Dunkirk thing where it's like the most badass thing you can do is just get out of there before you die a grisly, painful death. Then there's no like big epic hero moments for you. There's no like sort of crazy like Die Hard or superhero moments. It's just like no, it's just pure chaos and not an exhilarating chaos. Just kind of like, man, I do not want to go there. I do not want to be in that scenario, and I feel sorry for any person who is in a scenario like that, whether they be a soldier or just a citizen on the sides, just minding their own business when all hell breaks loose.
Mm. So, what would be your final thoughts and rating for Warfare?
I would definitely recommend checking this out. Like, it's not going to be for everybody. Like, I know there will be people who wish there was more of a story to this movie, but I feel like it accomplishes what it sets out to do, and it sets a very simple goal for itself. But it's not a bad goal. It's a goal that I ultimately respect and agree with in terms of just trying to be honest about what this situation was like for this guy who was a soldier and witnessed just absolute carnage and hell just right in front of him, and how it affected him and affected his fellow soldiers. And it doesn't feel like it's trying to glamorize or paint itself in a heroic light at all. It's just very like upfront on that level, and I commend it for that absolutely, and also for all the technical stuff that it manages to accomplish, and for the performances. I think it's a solid package. Like, I wouldn't call it like one of the great war movies, but I do think it's very good and it's very commendable in terms of what it's trying to do.
Mm, okay. So, what would be your rating?
Uh, Not quite. This is cinema. God, what's like the high matinee equivalent?
You can give it a high tune in, or you can give it a peak, or you can give it a.
High tune in. Like, absolutely check it out. But I could see if someone were to say, "And that wasn't really my bag," I would totally get it.
Mm, okay. So, high tune in for you.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think this is like one of those movies on a technical level you would want to see if you have a chance to on the big screen. If you can't see it on the big screen, then if you have a great at home entertainment system, then probably you will get the full experience out of this. Like you said, with the sound, with the firefights that's going on, like that's really where like your adrenaline kind of gets pumping, along with the people, and you feel like, like I said, it really puts you with them in the situation when all that starts to happen, when things start to really pop off. Um, and as we keep saying here, you're not going to get any really in depth character kind of things going on here. If that's really what you want, you're not going to get that from this movie. And, I mean, this movie doesn't set out to actually do that. That's not the goal that this movie's trying to do. It's trying to more paint a real, trying to as close as it can get to a realistic experience of what it's like to be in a situation like this. And that's what the movie's trying to capture. And I think it does do a great job at capturing that experience there. So for me, I just kinda give it a strong stream it for me. Like I said, I mean, if you do catch it in catching up on streaming, then, make sure you do have a great sound system, a great sound bar, because you're gonna really get a lot out of it for that. So yeah, and these moments, like I said, these are brutal moments in this, for sure. And you don't even get anything from the people that are attacking them. It's just only focused on the soldiers. That's it. That's all you really get there. And that's kind of it. So yeah, So I give it a strong stream it. Chris gives it a high tune in for Warfare in theaters now. There, and I'm glad it didn't do any kind of really strong kind of political thing because I think that's where Alex Garland fumbled the bag with Civil War. I think he fumbled the bag hard with that, and then he also fumbled the bag politically there as well with that movie Men, um, as well. I think. Yeah, so
Yeah, I did not like Men at all, like at all.
yeah, I like it more than most people, but I was like, okay, this is just doing shit. It doesn't really have a point. It feels like a lot of the time. But yeah, so I'm glad he got stayed away a little bit from that kind of going on there. So yeah, that was our thoughts on Warfare.